Well, hello once again, my friends. I'd like to welcome you to yet another video. This video is going to be about Star Trek. This is going to be about a project that I have upcoming up. Now, I recently did the model of the Star Trek U.S.S. Enterprise set by Polar Lights, by AMT. That was in 1/2500 scale, and I did a base, custom base with lights. But what I want to do on this project is I want to go back to Star Trek, the original series, and I want to concentrate on the episode, The Doomsday Machine. I have a couple of ideas of what I want to do with a model kit, and we're going to be using the standard Polar Lights 1/1000 scale U.S.S. Enterprise. We're going to make her the Constellation. So, let's get right to it. We're going to be talking about the Doomsday Machine. And this is the Eaglemoss Doomsday Machine. Now, I've already done a video on this. I'll put the link in the description if you want to watch it. But this is going to be about the Doomsday Machine itself, not about the Eaglemoss model. Okay, so the Enterprise is ordered. Well, actually, let me show you guys. So we have the book, the magazine from Eaglemoss, the official Starships collection. And let's go right for the information into the episode. You can see the way it looks coming right at you. And I'll show you guys, well, as the video goes along, I'll tell you my idea about this. And because we got to be careful so we don't get copyrighted or stricken from YouTube. Can you see the coming after you? You get the light on the inside of the maw. The episode itself is titled The Doomsday Machine, and it features the planet killer. The Enterprise is going to investigate a star system. They find that the star system is destroyed. The Constellation issued a distress call in which her sister ship, the U.S.S. Enterprise, responded to. By the time it arrived in System L347, there were only 2 planets left. The Enterprise crew traced the machine's origin to a point outside the galaxy. The Enterprise's captain, James Kirk, theorized that the machine was an ancient weapon that had been active for centuries, cutting its way through solar systems until it reached our galaxy. Kirk and a small party beamed onto the Constellation and sent Decker back to the Enterprise. Decker was obsessed with destroying the machine and assumed command of the Kirk ship, but the Enterprise's attack was equally ineffective. Decker was eventually removed from command. He escaped from confinement and attempted to destroy the machine by flying a shuttlecraft into it. The explosion from the shuttle only did minimal damage, but Kirk was inspired to fly the Constellation down the machine's vast maw. Where the engines overloaded, the resulting explosion disabled the machine, saving millions of lives. You can see both sides, top and the side of the Doomsday Machine. Neither the Enterprise or the Constellation scanners were able to penetrate the planet killer's neutronium hull, so Starfleet was never able to determine any details about its integral workings. The machine's interior would have suffered considerable damage when the Constellation exploded inside it, even though the Starship's antimatter pods had been rendered inert. The explosion caused by the overload of the Constellation's impulse engines would have been the equivalent to a high-yield nuclear bomb. You can see it coming right at you. And this is one of my favorite shots of the Enterprise. You can see her facing down the maw of the planet killer. The Doomsday Machine was Star Trek's take on Moby Dick, as an obsessed captain pursued a giant destructive beast. There's so much to come out of this episode. It was based on Moby Dick and Captain Ahab with his obsession with the white whale. Even though he runs into another captain that was attacked by the whale, and he wanted no part of it after that, but Ahab refused to back off, and it ultimately led to his demise. So did Willard Decker, Matt Decker. But another take on this series is that Decker, his son, Willard Decker, would be the captain of the Enterprise after she was refit. We see him in Star Trek The Motion Picture before Admiral Kirk assumes command of the Enterprise. Also, the music from this episode, the classic dun 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 dun, was inspiring to the film in 1978, Peter Benchley's Jaws, where every time the shark appeared, we hear the dun 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 dun. Well, you may or may not know, but that was inspired by this episode. And we can see some photos when Kirk and a landing party, they board the Constellation. Mr. Scott is in the engine room, and everything is destroyed when he informs Captain Kirk that the warp drive is useless. So they take over an impulse control, and you can see this is where Captain Kirk has control of the ship. Matt Decker, Commodore Matt Decker, after he assumes command of the Enterprise. The role of Decker was originally written with Robert Ryan in mind, but he was unavailable, and the part was played by William Wyndon. And Star Trek fans may notice that Lieutenant Uhura was not at her post. Nichelle Nichols had taken a singing job, so wasn't able for this episode. As a result, the story had a different communications officer, Lieutenant Palmer, played by Elizabeth Rogers. She made one other appearance in the third season episode, The Way to Eden. Now we're going to do a couple of different versions. This version, in the original filming, was actually an actual AMT model. I don't know if you guys are aware of that. But the later one, in the remaster, it's all digital. It's all CGI. It's not real. It wasn't practical to damage the filming model of the Enterprise, but the visual effects team was able to use a commercially available AMT model of the ship, which had recently been released. So isn't that awesome? That's actually the AMT model kit. So maybe that's why AMT, we think of this shape, even though it's not totally accurate to the Enterprise, the island on top of the primary hull, that we think of it. And that's probably why they didn't change the tooling on this kit. I don't know about you, but I really don't want them to change the tooling. You can see both Bassard collectors are destroyed, and there's damage to the primary hull. So at one point, I have a model from AMT that we're going to use to try to recreate this. You can see a nice shot of the Planet Killer shooting its, the beam, proton beam. Spinrod was not impressed by the final design of the Planet Killer, which he felt was far too basic. At Roddenberry's request, he'd even produced his own drawing of the ship, which had cutting and tractor beams and tentacles. Now we've come to know and love this design right here. Captain Kirk, when he was ready to be beamed back to the Enterprise, but there were issues, the story editor, Gene Kuhn, added some jeopardy by having the transporter malfunction when Kirk is trying to beam away before the Constellation is destroyed. Of course, Mr. Scott rigged the 30-second delay, causing an overload in the impulse engines and the imminent explosion. You can see a nice picture of Commodore Decker. And like I was telling you guys, his son, let's see, is there a little, yep, So let me show you this. Will Decker left was originally going to be Kirk's second in command in the new TV series. The writers wanted him to have a father-son relationship with Kirk, which was complicated by his own father's death. And we have the Romulan commander on the bottom. An early script for the movie Star Trek II revealed that the Romulan commander had been so intrigued by Spock that she had impregnated herself using his DNA. That would have been interesting if Mr. Spock would have had children. Later Ambassador Spock. And this is my favorite Savick. Robin Curtis did a good job, but I was bummed out when Kirstie Alley was no longer Savick. The character of Savick was originally conceived. She was a half Romulan who had been sent to live with her father for undisclosed reasons. And we can see Robin Curtis, the new Savick, along with David Marcus, Captain Kirk's son, then Admiral Kirk's son, and we see the regenerated Mr. Spock. Like Savick, Kirk's son featured in early versions of Star Trek II. Producer Harv Bennett also wanted the film to be about the next generation of Star Trek characters. Robin Curtis on Vulcan with Spock's mom. Savick's background changed significantly. Scenes filmed from Star Trek V would have been revealed that she was pregnant with Spock's child. In the end, they would have dropped, and she simply decided to remain as Vulcan. That would have been interesting, because you remember she gets left on the planet Vulcan. She does not return. The team, Admiral Kirk's team, leave on the captured bird of prey. You can see the Enterprise trying to attack the planet killer, and that was when Commodore Decker had assumed command. The visual effects team who worked on the remastered version of Star Trek gave the design of the planet killer an upgrade, but stopped short of making radical changes. Norman Spinrad says that he asked them to consider redesigning it to the look that they had always wanted, but ultimately they decided against this, preferring to stay close to the original look. I don't know about you guys, but I'm not a fan of the CGI. I love the filming models, and to me they should just leave it alone. I can understand remastering and making the video quality better, but don't CGI it. I prefer the original episodes that have the filming models, like this one. Rearranging the numbers in the Enterprise's registry, meaning that the VFX team could use the decals in the AMT model kit. So they really did everything from the box for the kit for this, the U.S.S. Constellation. So that's a short little kind of crash course in the series and the planet killer, the Doomsday Machine. So what I want to do is we're going to go over to the model desk, and I'm going to show you my plans on what we're going to do for this next model kit, inspired by the Doomsday Machine. Okay, so I showed you the information about the episode that inspired me for this build. This is what we're going to actually do. We're going to do the model, and we're going to use the Polar Lights 1-1000 model kit of the U.S.S. Enterprise. And we're going to use the production version from the series. You can see gives the instructions. I was thinking of doing the ISS Enterprise, but we'll do that in another video. But we're going to do the production version of the USS Enterprise. Let me show you my plans. You can see we're going to have one light, and I'm thinking something kind of yellow into the base that's going to reflect up on the model. The model we're going to use is 1/1000 scale of the Enterprise. We're going to make it as the Constellation, and in my crappy drawing, we're going to damage it up and we're going to make it look like she was attacked by the planet killer. Now the base is going to have the one light in the middle, kind of like the planet killer does, and it's going to be a block of wood that I'm going to make into the base. It's going to be round, and it's going to be the maw of the planet killer. And the way I drew it kind of looks like, do you guys remember the Oracle in For the World is Hollow and I Have Touched the Sky? Anyway, that's what it reminds me of. But the base itself is going to be hollowed out like I did in the last build. And we're going to put in the battery pack with the button batteries that's going to go into the side, and it's going to power the light that's going to illuminate. Now, the inside of the Doomsday Machine had that kind of like a bright, fiery glow, so I'm thinking about a yellow bulb. We'll see as we go along, and that bulb is going to be a single bulb, and you can see the schematic to the switch, and it's going to be powered by 2 of the button batteries. So this is the plan, kind of like what I did for the base in the last build series that I had done. We're going to do the Doomsday Machine. And again, we're going to be using the model kit, the 1/1000 scale Polar Lights model kit. So let's show you the parts that I'm going to use. Comes with the Polar Lights base, but we're not going to be using that. All right, so we're going to use, obviously, we're going to use the primary hull. You can see the bottom and the top. Now there's going to be damage here, here, and here. Now don't forget, there are 2 different versions. There's the original filming version with the model, the AMT model, but we're going to do that another time. This is going to be the remade version with the CGI, and we're going to make the Constellation as close as possible to the way she looked on the CGI damage. So that's the top of the saucer section. And we've got the secondary hull pieces. And of course we have the nacelles. Let me just get everything out for you guys, because I had already taken all the stuff. Everything that we're going to be using, I already put it aside. All right, so that's everything that we're going to be using to make the production version. So we got the primary hull, we've got the secondary hull. Now when it comes to the nacelles, the Constellation had a lot of damage to the nacelles, and one of them actually was 2/3, only 2/3 left. So we're going to cut some of the nacelles, and of course it had damage to the Bassard collectors. So we're going to figure something out. I have a few ideas on what to do for the Bassard collectors. And you can see we're going to do the same thing for the other side, or the starboard side nacelle. The Polar Lights has the 2 parts that go together, and we have the nacelle pylons, and we have the deflector dish housing. Now they give you the option of doing a different enterprises. The earlier version has the large deflector dish, but we're going to do the production version. Also, the production version has the back of the nacelles with the round kind of half circles or balls that come out the side of the back. So we're going to have those. This that connects to the impulse engines on the back of the primary hull. We have the cooler, the little radiating cooler pipes that come off the sides. We have the impulse engines, and we have the deflector dish, the little pole or the little radar that comes off the or antenna. And that's basically everything that we're going to be using. And again, we're not going to be using all of it because the Bussard collectors in this kit are clear. And what it is, they have the clear Bussard collectors, but on the inside, you can see you can paint these or light them. So we're going to put them on, but they got to be damaged. And then you can see the bridge of the Enterprise. In this case, it's going to be the bridge of the Constellation. So that's the plan. First thing I plan to do is we're going to put the ship, well, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to plan out the damage. And when I plan out the damage, we're actually going to cut the damaged areas, whether it's the primary hull, the nacelles. It doesn't really say, we don't really see that much damage to the secondary hull, but if there is, we'll definitely check it out. So I'll be referencing a lot of the pictures. There was none in the magazine with the eagle moss of the CGI Constellation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a lot of research, and I'm going to pull, actually I'm just going to watch the episode and I'll take screenshots from the episode, and we'll use that as a guide. But that's the plan. We're going to make the U.S.S. Constellation as she was attacked by the planet killer. And because this is going to be custom, we're going to make our own base, and we're going to put a light on it. So the next video in this short series is going to be the base. We're going to start by using the block of wood. I'm going to cut it into the disc, and then we're going to start painting it, and I'm going to wire it. But that's going to be in the next video. I just wanted to introduce you guys to my idea. And until the next video, it'll be very soon. I'll talk to you soon, and thank you for watching.